blog, the Alliance blog, the Alliance blog. Alliance? If you put an S in front of Alliance, you have Salience. That's me.
We hate it! You already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. That's your number one source for news and information. Join with me this evening, of course, the Alliance Guys. We have grown. We are not just 2 or 3. No, we're 4. First, I'll bring up Mr. Rick Del Santo. Rick, how are you this evening? Rick is frozen. DK, are you frozen?
I hope not.
Rick was frozen. How are you today?
Hungry.
Okay. That's very Augusta of you. Augustus.
This group, I'm hungry.
And that little boy grew up to become...
It's very true right now, too, by the way.
Say that again?
I said it's very true right now, by the way.
And speaking of friends of the show, the ever-growing Alliance, Mr. Rick Del Santo is joining us this evening as well. I want to make sure that it's clear. Rick isn't just like a guest host jumping in or just a friend hanging out. No, Rick is an Alliance guy. Like, it's a done deal. The contracts have been signed. We all drew blood. It's a done deal.
Can't be proud.
Even if you are frozen, Rick.
Am I still frozen?
DK, is it me or is it Rick?
I can hear him, but he doesn't move.
You're moving.
Okay. All right. I was gonna say
I don't think you're allowed to do that though.
I thought it looked good. You don't think so? So, all right.
It's better than Carson Drake's.
Let's talk about that guy. We will talk about that guy when we get to Power.
Do we have to talk?
It'll probably take 30 seconds. So.
Oh, okay, so I mean, let's just go there because there's lots of things to talk about all over the board. But I did want to talk about Power because last week I was so disappointed by that episode. Not only because of the segment in the beginning, not only because the segment in the ending that I didn't even know happened, but all in all, it was just kind of garbage, if you ask me. This week was a palate cleanse for me. I felt like this week was a much, much better show. Rick, I'll ask you first, like, just overall thoughts. What did you think of this week's Power?
Okay. Besides the in-between segments, okay, which I still thought were just kind of, they were better than the anger management classes, we'll say that. But it still wasn't that good. The wrestling on this show, to me, is probably the best in the NWA I've seen in quite some time on their television show. I was kind of blown away. And it was surprises. Well, for people that don't follow everything online, I thought it was a fun program throughout. Look at that. I said something positive about Power.
Don't let that happen.
I do have negative. I know. I do have something negative, Billy. Oh, God, Billy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, how can I even say, like, nah, come on, give him a break. No, it's awful. He's terrible.
Yeah.
Hey, noob, what's going on? Now Willie has a tire stroke. We're going to get back. Oh, I'm sorry. DK, I skipped right over you, and my apologies. What were your thoughts generally on this week's episode of Power?
I'm kind of there with Rick. I give no credit for an improvement in the skits, but at least the wrestling was good this week. But What made last week so bad is the wrestling was subpar and the skits were horrible. This week, the wrestling was actually pretty good and the skits were absolutely horrible.
So, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that in a minute. Willie Bowen, I don't want to read your Irish joke. Can you tell it a different way? Because I don't want to say that word on the air. But thanks for hanging out tonight, Noob. Thanks for hanging out tonight. If you guys are in the chat, make sure you sound off so that we know you're here. We can say hi to you. I thought I saw Jaden pop on, but I guess not. My hot take on this week's Power is I'm going to say this. We've all agreed that the segments aren't very good. And I'm not going to defend this week's segments, but I am going to say that this is a step in the right direction because they were actually connected to storyline. They were trying to forward some of what was happening on the program. There wasn't a huge disconnect. Now, was it great? No. But Kenzie going on about her fiance and being stressed out and kind of feeling like her sister might be doing something inappropriate behind the scenes with her boyfriend, that's a logical concern, and for her to be upset about while she's getting ready for a title match, I feel like that's a conversation that might have actually happened. Then the whole the Carson Drake segment with the slime balls, like again, Carson Drake is not my favorite, not by a long shot. He says, "I'm going to take this really serious," and then goes, ha, 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 ha. That was painful for me to watch, painful to hear as well. But at least it was pointing towards the world title match. Go ahead, Rick.
Watching the slime balls was painful to watch, and then the whole segment and them robbing the car. Was that Tom Latimer's car? The whole segment was just atrocious, if you will.
And I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I'm not disagreeing, but at least it tied back to Power. At least it was focusing on, like, that's the main event of Hard Times, was that the feud between Tom and Carson Drake, and of course the slime balls are his lackeys. So that didn't shock me, but it just it's rough. It's rough. Speaking of rough, Jade, how are you doing?
Is that because I'm dog rough?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had some things I had to deal with real quick that unfortunately came up right about what the time I was about to jump on. So, but I'm doing all right.
If you need to jump off and jump on later, you could do that, my friend.
No, it's okay. Everything's taken care of now. It's just it's bad timing.
I hear you. Don't drop the phone. Noob wants to add this. He says, like I said, the skits are downright bad. I mean, even said it on the pre-party on Tuesday on why is Natalia Markova has to be in those skits. They're poorly produced and badly performed. I don't think anybody disagrees with that, Noob. I feel like the only redeeming quality I could say about these skits is at least it went back to featuring a greater emphasis on the product. Because, again, last week was like they were at the car dealership and it was like a motivational speaker, and I didn't really feel connected to this one way or the other. And I know that Tiffany Nieves took a special interest in the counselor, whatever you call him, Vic, and then he was really into her apparently. And but all of this to say, like, they didn't really tie that into her challenging for the tag titles or planning an attack, whether it be psychological or physical, on Kenzie. Like, had they dropped seeds like that, I could have even forgiven how bad the segment was, but they didn't. So this week, I feel like even if it was terrible, it was still a step up from last week.
I thought the arena looked awesome. I thought it was perfectly set up for a live wrestling event. It reminded me of watching professional wrestling. It didn't seem like it was completely empty either.
Yeah,
and the crowd seemed really into everything that was happening during the matches as well.
And Dothan is unapologetically a pro NWA town, whether the NWA deserves that or not. I mean, to be quite honest, sometimes, like on tonight's tonight's episode or Tuesday night's episode, we agree the wrestling was good, and that's what the fans saw when they're in Dothan. But like,
yeah,
I feel like the NWA has really benefited from that arena, benefited from that fan base, and it does look good. It does look like an important show. It doesn't look like it was filmed in somebody's pseudo studio style wrestling show. It looked like, it reminded me like of WCW Saturday Night back in the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aren't there rumors that AEW's looking at it?
At that arena in Alabama?
Yeah.
How big is it? How many people fit in there?
We did the math on this once. I think it fit 5,000.
That's a big place for the NWA. Do they expect to sell it out?
I do feel like they. I feel like they do. You guys are still there, right? Everyone's still there?
Yeah.
I feel like that Dothan Civic Center is. They know how to shoot it correctly. I don't know where I would find how many seats that it fills, but I'm just looking right now, and upcoming shows coming to Dothan, Alabama, this Friday, June 27th. Jill Scott. On Friday, August 15th, the White Tie Rock Ensemble, British Rock. September 27th, Randy Travis. Friday, November 7th, you got Rumors of Fleetwood Mac. Saturday, November 15th, the Hudson Westbrook. And on Sunday, November 16th, the PokeCon Fest. So make sure you go to your Dothan Civic Center early and often.
I'm trying to find the capacity. Ooh.
I like how we're all trying to figure it out. Well, at least you and me
dead
are.
silence tonight. 3,100 it says, according to.
Yep.
Well, they had a UFC there. It sounds like, and they set it up for 3,100 seats. So, yep.
So that kind of would go right in with AEW's current.
What they actually draw.
Yeah.
Well, the NWA sets it up for around 1,500, if I remember correctly.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
And so AEW has been going places that only seat 1,000, 1,500, and thereabouts recently. And so, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they're not looking at it. I thought I heard a rumor they were.
I hadn't heard that rumor, but you and I run around in different circles. You're in a rough crowd, and my group is all cool and nice. So
I thought the rough kids were the cool ones. Depends on how you look at it.
That's maybe why I'm in the soft group. We're around here thinking we're cool and we're not. I was
watch 10 things I hate about you and figure out which group you're in.
I'm in the group that does not sing to a girl at a football game or a football field during the middle of school. I'm definitely not that group. I love that movie, by the way, if we're going to get into it.
It's not that bad. It's not bad.
Not that bad. I like how you put that. It's not that bad. It's bad, but not that bad.
No. I mean, like, I'm a little too old to be watching that. Like, when that came out, I was still way too old. So, like, it wasn't for my age group, but I watched it because I worked in a video store at the time.
Are you?
When it came out, I saw it about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
The who? The what?
You kissing like you're underwater.
I said I never saw it when it came out. I saw it 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Gotcha.
I think I was in college when it came out, so I might have been a little bit too old for it as well, but I enjoyed it.
That's cool. No, it's not a bad film. It's kind of funny. It has its moments, and it reminds me of those 80s like teen comedy type movies, but
that's
when they come out. Yeah, that's the kind of formula, and I'm kind of a sucker for those still, even at my old age.
I liked it because I hooked up with a girl that looked like Julia Stiles, so that's why I liked it.
Oh, all right.
fact, I might have been at that time hooking up with a girl that looked like Julia Stiles. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but
Aren't you still trying to hook up with a girl that looks like Julia Stiles?
He's still trying to hook up with Julia Stiles.
Fair enough.
I don't know what she looks like nowadays.
She's still cute.
Is she? I'll take your word for it. I don't know. I don't think she actually works anymore.
Has she been in anything? Well, maybe you might have some. You might be right with that one. Sometimes
She does. I think she does some small things, and of course, she's not a star anymore. But yeah, she's still in some movies here and there.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to remember. I think the last thing I seen her in was she was in a movie with some kind of demon doll.
The last thing I saw her in was The Bourne Identity. So
I've never seen that. I don't know. I've never seen any of those movies you guys mentioned.
Wait, did you say you worked at a movie?
I did up until 2004, maybe. so
that's Julia Stiles in 2024.
Oh wow!
I think she's still very pretty.
She's still very pretty. Yeah. See, Willie Bowen's got it going. Gina Davis, she's still smoking to this day.
Gina Davis is in Mensa.
Yeah, she's not only attractive, she's smarter than you, and she knows it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Gina Davis movie, and what movie do you think she was cutest in?
Who, me?
All of you.
Oh crap! What's that movie? I gotta hang on. I don't remember.
And Willie Bowen.
I'm gonna say A League of Their Own because that's the one I can remember right off the
classic.
hand.
What's the what's the movie?
She was gorgeous in that.
Hang on, I don't remember. There's something that I watched recently.
Everyone go to IMDb quick.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, I mean, was it The Long Kiss Goodnight? Was that the one? What's the one where she was like the spy or whatever? Was that her? What movie was that?
I think you're right.
A Long Kiss Goodnight, right?
Wait a minute. Who are we talking about again?
Gina Davis.
What about
Gina Davis?
Thelma and Louise.
That's a good one. Let's not forget Beetlejuice is also
very. Yeah, that's my favorite one. Is Beetlejuice.
Totally forgot about her being in Beetlejuice.
How can you not like Earth Girls Are Easy?
Man, I don't think I saw it. I was like 5 years old when that came out.
88.
Yeah. Well.
88.
Yeah, you were 10 years old, maybe 11.
Quick Change with Bill Murray. That's a great movie. Bill Murray and Randy Quaid, Jason Robards. That's a good one. I'm looking over here.
Real quick, Julia Stiles' last project was Chosen Family with Heather Graham and Thomas Lennon and John Brotherton.
What year was this?
That was 2024.
Oh, something recent.
What are we asking? What are we talking about now? Why do you?
I dated a girl. Who looked like a flat-chested Heather Graham.
Who's Heather Graham?
Just like her, just completely no boobs.
Heather Graham was in Austin Powers. She was the second one. Fembot.
Hang on, I got it right here. Oh wait, I know who this is. Oh yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
I love it when the show goes off the rails. We've only been on for like let's see, a total of 20 minutes, 19 minutes and 43 seconds. We've already off the rails.
You got to change it up every now and again, you know? So.
Yeah. By the way, my favorite Heather Graham movie was Boogie Nights.
Yeah?
That one I've still never seen. I know, crazy, right?
I don't know about you, Del Santo.
I've seen clips of it. After I stopped working at a movie store, I stopped like watching a lot of stuff. Like,
actually, that's the reason I ended up watching 10 Things I Hate About You. Somehow it came up in my algorithm in YouTube, and I started seeing clips.
Yeah, that happens to me on TikTok now, and things come up, and then what's this movie? And I end up next thing that's what brings me to watching movies now. So
I'm assuming it was because of Heath Ledger, because I had seen some Heath Ledger's Joker scenes from The Dark Knight, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I got 10 Things I Hate About You clips all over the place.
Yep.
Well, there are worse problems to have.
I like him in A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
So here's our deep dive. Do any of you, and the answer is no, but do any of you remember the show Roar on Fox?
The show what?
Roar. ROAR. Roar.
Let me see.
So Roar starred a young Heath Ledger, and it was kind of like a TV show version of like Braveheart meets like Gladiator. It was very like kind of set in that realm, and it was like they were a young Celtic tribe, and what's his name? I just said it.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger was the principal in that one.
It was 1997. That's
when I was in high school.
I've never.
And I had the first few episodes that I recorded on VHS. I still have them somewhere, and I'm like, nobody knows about this show, and it was so good. And I liked it so much that, and he used to wear this necklace around his neck. It was like a piece of. It looked like this, but like around his neck. And my mom bought me this jewelry as a senior in high school because I liked so much that he was wearing it. And I don't wear it because I don't really wear jewelry, but I still have it. That's all.
It looks like the episodes are up on YouTube, so you can check them out there. That's what I'm going to do now. See?
I'm going to do...
Literally right now, because I don't want to talk about anything else. So.
It was a good show.
Reveal it.
We'll do a live react episode of the Alliance guys watching Roar.
Early on, I said to the guys, I said, "Hey, what do you want to talk about tonight?" And nothing sounded good, so that's why we are struggling for things to talk about. Actually, there is
some good ideas.
You did, and let's why don't we talk about a few of those real quick?
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, so we'll get to the rest of Power. We did kind of start on it, but we'll get to the rest of it here in a minute. The first thing that I want to point out we were talking about AEW potentially renting Dothan, but one thing that we do know is that AEW hits their landmark 300th episode for Dynamite this following Tuesday, a week from, or I guess in like 5 days. They'll be in the Ontario Arena, the Toyota Arena, which is about 40 minutes away from me. So I might go. I might be there. Excuse me, not Tuesday, Wednesday, July 2nd. That's the 300th episode of Collision. And during that taping, of course, they're having some pretty marquee matchups. But the thing that something that caught my attention today is, we commented recently about Wardlow and Camille, both, haven't been used on TV for quite some time. Now we're going to see them on American Gladiators. But there's a few other talents that haven't been seen in quite some time on AEW programming. And the three names that I can think of right off the top of my head are Jack Perry, Big Keith Lee, and Scorpio Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them has been announced to be released. Scorpio Sky has started doing work out here in Southern California with the Independents and along with the United Wrestling Network. Jack Perry has just been persona non grata. We haven't seen him on TV since he lost the TNT Championship. Big Keith Lee never even got the ball rolling really in AEW. And I'm wondering who in AEW that has gone missing that you miss. I'll start with you, DKM.
Anybody with, actual wrestling skills? You brought up Keith Lee, and there was just an article about him today. I don't know when it was published, but, I saw it today, saying basically the same thing that a lot of other people said, which is he's been cleared for a comeback for a long time.
Yeah.
Because people always go, well, they're injured. That's why they're not there. They're injured. That's why they're not there. A lot of these injured people are, come back and say, no, we've been cleared.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you get injured in AEW, you might as well just, plan on staying home and collecting check.
We haven't seen the Gunn brothers in a while on AEW.
Are those guys injured? I thought I read something the other day that one or both were injured. That's what I
just saw today that they said the same thing as Keith Lee. Both of them are cleared, ready to go.
Okay. Keith Lee's a guy that should be on the top there, in personal opinion. That guy's got all the talent in the world, and I know he was suffering from some health issues for a little while, and but I don't know. They I don't think that they really know what to do with him there. I think the guy's got all like super talented guy there.
Well, it seems like once they start down a storyline, they don't really think about how to. And let me tell you, WWE, I think a lot of ways is the same. If people aren't fitting into their current storylines, they don't ever think about, well, what can we do with them to bring them in?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter that SmackDown is 3 hours of almost boredom. That, you know, it's a 2-hour show stretched in 3 hours.
Not
the
almost
answer,
boredom.
You know, the answer is never, well, let's bring in some of these people that talent doesn't, or that creative doesn't have anything for, and give them something. That's never the answer. 3 hours, a 3-hour show, they have 52 minutes of wrestling, and, you know, the answer is never, let's bring in other things. You know, we'll just have somebody go out and talk to the crowd for 20 minutes.
I'm just looking at the roster right now for AEW. Why is the broadcast team like almost as big as the women's division? Why do they have so many broadcasters?
Are they including guys from like Ring of Honor and such there?
So here's the list of the broadcast team, and this is the AEW website, not the Ring of Honor. But Alex Marvez, Alicia Atau, Alvaro Rijoas, which it's Spanish announced team, I'm sure. Ariel Levy, Arcady Arura, Bobby Cruz, Carlos Cabrera, Excalibur, Ian Riccoboni, Jim Ross, Justin Roberts, Lexi Nair, Nigel McGuinness, Renee Paquette, Taz, and Tony Schiavone. Like that's a lot of people for the broadcast team. And
it's Alicia Atoot.
Atoot? Sorry.
I just like saying it, but it is.
How many of those people are shown on per episode? Like, there's probably like one segment per episode. Like, what's her name? Renee Moxley, whatever. Yeah, like she'll do like one backstage interview per show. Actually, I don't know, but I know, like, you know, it seems that way. I haven't watched AEW in like over 2 years, so I can't really tell you. But like, what's the point of having all those people? Some of those people only get one segment an episode to interview somebody backstage or what have you. Because it just seems like it's overly, I don't know. It just seems too full for me.
Sorry about that. My phone rang, and I don't know if you guys heard that or not.
I didn't hear anything. No.
Good.
No.
Everything went silent in my headphones. I was like, oh, crap, what's going on?
That happened to me earlier, recording an episode, and the whole thing got dropped. So I had to restart.
Did you lose everything?
I didn't lose the files. It just shut the whole thing down, the whole interview down. Before
I found StreamYard and recording the lives, I used to use I can't remember the name of the service, but you would be able to do. There was one. It was kind of like I think it's Microsoft based. Anyways, I can't remember. But the story was I tried to record it and it dropped and I lost the file. And I sat down with like Dave Marquez for like an hour and a half, lost everything. Then we tried to redo it and it didn't record. And then the third time it finally worked. I'm like, geez, I'm sorry, Dave. We talked for 6 hours and only got like an hour and a half interview here.
You're talking about Skype.
It's Skype. That was the one.
Yeah, they recently closed it down like a few months ago, and now it's Microsoft Teams, which is it's the same exact thing pretty much, but it still sucks.
It still sucks.
Yeah,
that's how we used to record the early podcast, the video with Kevin Frazier and DKM. That was when Jane took a sabbatical from being on here. The chat is really just dead right now.
What's up with that, guys? Come on, man. It's usually hopping.
Well, maybe it's us. Maybe we're not talking about the right topics. I mean, look, for AEW, again, my guy Scorpio Sky is still listed on the roster. I still see like Keith Lee on the roster. So many talents that are still there, and we're just not seeing them on TV. I think recently Deonna Purrazzo was talked about too because she's hasn't been on TV for a long time, and it's crazy about how many people are on the roster, how deep it is. But a lot of guys are just sitting at home not doing anything.
And then some of them aren't happy with what they are doing because Thunder Rosa posted something like, what do you got to do to get a win?
I think Thunder Rosa should have just quietly exited the company, asked for her release or something, because I can't believe how over she was in the NWA, how hot of a commodity she was. She got injured. I mean, don't get me wrong. AEW absolutely pushed her to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
She won the world title. She got hurt. And then, that was kind of it. And she's never even been close to being the same performer as she was.
It's like AEW doesn't know how to rebuild her, it seems. But yeah, to me, she's one of the best women talents that they have. She's phenomenal. But I mean, they have a gigantic roster. They just, they like to bring in people, use them for however long, and then when something happens, they stop using them. That's why all the people that we just mentioned are sitting at home. By the way, Deonna Purrazzo is working an indie show here in August 3rd. Richard Holliday's put together a super show, so to speak. Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Macklin have both been announced for it.
Yeah, I'm just Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just like I was following you, and I was looking at the roster and how many people who I don't even. It's like, and I remember, but I never hear them talk. I don't watch the show, but I do listen to reviews of the show.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what Aaron Solo's doing.
Working Championship Wrestling from Hollywood tapings.
I don't know what Alex. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Avarandi? I don't know.
This is where Jaden comes in with the pronunciation. Yeah.
I'm not familiar enough with the AEW talent to have a clue, so I apologize.
I don't know what Abrahantes.
Abrahantes.
Abrahantes. Okay. I'll trust you. I never hear about Alex Reynolds. Is Angelico still around? I don't even know who that is.
Angelico, he was one of those guys that came from he was doing a lot of work with Lucha Underground and AAA. He's really, for a high flying wrestler, he's really good, but again, he just hasn't been showcased or used.
They say he's part of the Spanish Announce Project, a phrase that I don't ever remember hearing. So
I have no idea what the heck that is.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Angelo Parker. I never hear about him.
I don't know who that is. I'm that's a guy that I don't know who that is.
I don't
He's part of a tag team, I think.
Oh, okay.
Cool Hand Angelo Parker is what I see.
That's a great name.
So I'm assuming that's his cool. I'm assuming if the words are above, that's their nickname. If the words are below, that's who they're like. Like Alex Reynolds is part of Dark Order, but I don't know if Dark Order is used much anymore. Anthony Ogogo.
I didn't know he was on it. Brandon Cutler's on this list. I didn't even know he was still in the roster.
He's working for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood too.
Okay.
Arya Davari. I don't remember the last time I've heard about him. Bandito, I know, still being used. Big Bill's being used. Billy Gunn's being used. Bishop Khan. I hear about the Gates of Agony. Bobby Lashley's being used. Brandon Cutler, has he been around? I don't hear his name anymore.
Nope. That's what we just said.
And Brian Cage is part of the Don Callis family. And I hear about Don Callis, but I don't hear about Brian Cage. Brody King, I hear about. Brian Danielson, of course, hasn't been around since he retired. Brian Keith, did we hear about him?
We were for a while. I don't know about now, but we were for a while.
He was a part of the Jericho's group, wasn't he?
For a while, he was. Yeah, I'm not sure if he still is. So,
Buddy Matthews, I don't hear much about. He's still supposedly in Hounds of Hell, but I don't really hear anything about him. Charlie Bravo.
Yeah, he's part of the infantry.
Do they use him?
No, I've seen him more in championship wrestling from Hollywood.
Of course, Cash Wheeler, Chris Jericho, we see too freaking much of.
I don't think you've seen too much of Jericho lately. I think he's kind of disappeared.
If he ever makes an appearance, it's too much.
Fair.
Christian Cage, Chuck Taylor, is he still around?
Haven't seen him.
I think he's actually permanently injured.
Permanently injured?
Okay.
I think so. I think that's who he is. He's going to be bad. Like, I don't think he'll be wrestling again.
Okay.
Here's a name that's always talked about, but is rarely ever been seen. Colt Cabana.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I seen him on there at all.
Danhausen still listed. Dante Martin, or Top Flight. I hear Top Flight occasionally.
Thank you.
The
little one brought me a muffin cupcake.
How come I didn't get anything?
Well, if you were here.
Is Eddie Kingston still out injured altogether?
Yeah.
He's still out. Yeah, I don't I'm guessing at some point he's going to come back. He's been, clips of interviews have been showing up lately. So, I believe that he will be eventually coming back at some point.
He's one of those guys who he hasn't been brought back. And I don't know what his health status is yet, but I imagine he's ready to come back.
Yeah.
What about Jay White?
He was.
I know he was injured, but I haven't heard anything since.
I'm gonna look up Jay White.
Hook, I've heard is injured, but again, that's one of those I don't know. He disappeared. Let's see. Juice Robinson, he's supposed to be out injured.
So apparently the last time Jay White wrestled was on March 29th.
It's about a month ago? Yeah, about a month ago.
About 3 months ago.
March? Is it June? Oh, sorry, I thought you said May. Sorry. Yeah, about 3 months ago.
That was last month. Oh,
yeah,
man.
that's what I was thinking when you said it. I was like, oh, crap. But,
well, I'm not going to go down anymore because I think that's enough to get the point that just some of these people are, Warlow and others. It's just like, what's become of them? Are the Outrunners still around? I never hear about the Outrunners anymore.
I see them on TV all the time. Or not TV, but the clips on the internet.
Okay. They were used on a Collision mostly, right? From what I understand? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that they were attempting the brand split when they started Collision. So I don't know if that worked, if that carried over, but
no, it's kind of, they have Collision just became their B show. Mm-hmm. And so people that aren't on the A show, they kind of send to the B show.
Isn't the whole brand a B show?
No. Well, the whole brand's about a D show, but
yeah, wrestling quality wise, yes.
But you got to look out for them D's.
Yeah, that's what I've always said. So anyway, what else is going on in the world of wrestling, other than I hear AEW wants to bring in like 2 more titles?
What titles do they want to bring in?
You look at the top, how many people? All the belts are up at the top. Pardon me, I'm sorry, guys, to do that, but there's 1, 2, 3. There's 8 titles.
Supposedly they had plans for a women's tag team division, and if you listen to the like Wrestle Talk and stuff like that, they have been focusing on like 2 or 3 women's tag teams.
Okay.
So supposedly they want a women's tag team title, and then supposedly they had belts made that are sitting on a shelf somewhere for like father-son tag teams, generational tag teams. And so like one of them was going to be Christian Cage and whichever one of his family things that was like a son to him, and And there was even talking about them looking at Ricky and Kerry Morton.
What? Like what? What?
You know, and Billy Gunn, one of his sons. You know, reunite Billy and his sons. And hey, James H. Jackson posted something on Discord, so someone go there and actually read what was written. I'm going more by what I heard from Russell talk.
No, I mean it's just who comes up with stuff like that? A generational tag team, father-son tag team titles. It's
Tony Khan.
I've never heard of such a thing before in
my
life.
But my phrase to this reminds me of TNA and their ever-changing global title, King of the Mountain title, Legends title, TV title. I don't even remember which one it started off as. I'm thinking it started off as Booker T's Legends title or whatever.
King of the Mountain.
And they used the same belt for like 5 different title names, and then they got rid of it and brought in the digital media title, and then they got rid of it, and now they have the international title. But at least the international title looks to fit their overall scheme of belts.
Yeah, digital media. I thought that was just atrocious when it came out. Like the idea of a digital media title. I mean, I guess there's some companies that have YouTube championships as well. You know.
Well, I mean, I understood the concept, but again, it's something that never plays to the concept. It was kind of like the places that had TV titles, but the titles were never defended on TV, but they were defended at house shows.
Well, I mean, like the NWA Women's Television Championship? Like, we never even saw Big Mama have one title defense until the day she lost it.
We never saw her win the title. We never saw her defend the title. She showed up with it, won the tag team title, lost that, and of course, is no longer tag team champion. So,
the next topic that was kind of on the table for discussion that unofficially was the relationship between the WWE and TNA wrestling. Do we still consider TNA an independent wrestling promotion, or is it now lumped in with the WWE? And I'm curious, Jaden, because you've been quiet anyways, what are your thoughts on the relationship between TNA and WWE? And do you consider TNA wrestling a part of the WWE family now?
I think the relationship is because MLW sued WWE, so they do things like this so they don't get sued again. I think it's 70% beneficial to TNA. I think it's more beneficial to TNA than WWE, but it's also another developmental brand, in my opinion, and that's how I see it. I don't know if I would consider TNA part of the WWE. I guess I do because they're so associated now together, and they're using talents and they're showing up on each other's shows. They literally started because DK asked about who, other than AEW or WWE, are there any stars in wrestling? And I was going to say, TNA has some people I consider stars, but the problem with that is because I kind of consider them part of the WWE, that maybe that shouldn't qualify. So I'm not sure what I think, but I do kind of feel it is WWE light or WWA adjacent.
Yeah.
They have a working relationship. I mean, look at, years ago, how many years ago, WWE and USWA were working together, right? They were started, which eventually it ended up turning into a developmental. I feel like it's the same thing that's going to happen. It's going to get absorbed by WWE at some point, and then they're going to probably maybe change the name. Probably not, maybe. But I mean, they eventually turned. Was it Memphis Power Pro? Was the developmental, Jaden?
Yeah, when the USWA got removed.
Yes,
because they sold it to some alleged scrupulous individuals.
Yes,
there was no longer. They wanted to use the Memphis still, and Lawler was starting up Memphis Championship Wrestling, and then. When I think there was a falling out with Memphis Championship Wrestling, he moved to Power Pro Wrestling, and that became the developmental, and MCW was still around, but it was no longer working with Lawler.
Yeah, I think it's something very similar is going to happen in the future with TNA. It's very possible. I mean, they're using it pretty much as like another developmental as well. They're sending NXT guys over there. They're swapping back and forth. They're probably keeping a close eye on the TNA talent to see who they want to keep, bring in full time at some point, maybe when their contract's up, or when they decide to absorb the company.
I still think the way I look at it is this: they are very much still an independently owned company, but when the fact of the matter is that a WWE contracted wrestler holds their world title, that their former world champion has been featured heavily on WWE, not just signature live events, but on the weekly CW program. When Jordan Grace was literally plucked off that roster, and Joe Henry will be too, and so will Mike Santana, by the way. I think all of these, it's definitely becoming a developmental for the WWE, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think at that point you have to, if you're TNA, you just have to understand, like, hey, we're never going to be number one. We're always going to be in the shadow, but that's not to say that they can't benefit from a relationship with the WWE. And let's see. Our pal Luthez says this: WWE and TNA have a working relationship, all right. WWE has worked TNA into believing they mean a goddamn thing to WWE. Luthez.
He's not wrong, though. Man. He's not wrong. But don't forget, for a number of years, TNA was really the only competition for WWE. The only other alternative from 2002 to God knows when, before all these other companies started popping up. So for a very long time in the United States, there was only two major companies. Not that TNA was major, but WWE was pretty much the be-all end-all at the time, and there was TNA. You know what I mean? That was putting on a pretty solid product for the most part. So, it's they mean something. They have a great history hold on, let me retract that. It's kind of questionable, some of the stuff that's happened there, but there's a history there, and it was at one time it was literally the only other alternative.
When you think about the great moments in TNA wrestling, let's be honest, Kurt Angle, I think he had a much more fruitful career working for TNA wrestling than he even had in the WWE. Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, both those guys, became, I don't want to say household names, but became way more well-known because of the work with TNA wrestling. And it was almost like a rite of passage too. Like, you look at so many of in the early days of TNA wrestling, like, it was the alternative to WWE. And, CM Punk, Raven, Sabu, these guys all kind of filtered through TNA wrestling. And, when there wasn't an alternative, when there was no chief rival to the WWE, TNA fought, tooth and nail to be that alternative. Was it all good? Absolutely not. But think about guys like Christian Cage, who went there after WWE didn't want to re-sign him and revitalized his career. Like, that's the third time he's done that in the last, 20 years.
He had an amazing run in TNA as the NWA World Champion. So
yeah. And who else am I missing here? Like, Raven kind of, he was able to get a few extra years out of his career. Ron Killings went from being a mid-card guy to the WWE to be in the main event in TNA wrestling. They used Ken Shamrock. And that's early days stuff. Jeff Jarrett, all that stuff's early days. But, it even became a home for Scott Steiner, Booker T, Kevin Nash. But they still tried to, take talent who was reputable and try to do something with them. I still don't think that they were, in my mind, I'm not going to call them WWE, but I do feel like the connection is so tight now that it's might as well be part of the WWE.
Right.
DK, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, I think all we need to know is Trick Williams is the TNA World Champion, and he's probably getting ready to lose the title here in a bit, but I don't know when a TNA person is going to win the NXT Championship, and certainly hold it for any length of time. So,
did you guys, changing gears here a little bit, and I apologize for not being more by the book here, but did you guys see that the Power Slap? Are you guys familiar with Power Slap?
Yeah, I used to watch that every night.
So,
or every week, rather. Sorry.
Power Slap is what my wife does to me when I've been not taking out the trash. There are a lot of familiar names to, at least to me. Maybe you guys might recognize some of these guys. Stunt Marshall, who is part of, I believe he was part of QT Marshall's group. He's a wrestler. He will be making his debut on Fight Slap. MLW's Juicy Fanu will be a part of this season of Fight Slap. Hollywood Haley J will be a part of this season's Fight Slap. We know him as Mecha Wolf, but his legal name is John Yurnet Ruiz. He'll be making his debut on Fight Slap. And I know there's a few more, but I don't recognize their shoot names as their wrestling names. But a lot of pro wrestlers will be making this season of Fight Slap. Is that a reason for you to tune in, DKM?
No, the concept's stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see Billy Corgan, Tony Khan, Dave Dahl. Who else could be on Fight Slap? And then
I don't know. You have me at Corgan. I'd watch Corgan.
All three of them, though. Dave Dahl.
Can they do a round robin tournament with Daggett?
Rob Feinstein needs to be in there.
No, Rob Feinstein needs to be. Never mind.
Go on prison, maybe
euthanized.
Yeah, there you go.
Who else can we slap? Who else can we add to that list?
I mean, there's lots of people. We don't have time for that.
It's. I won't say what I was about to say, but it's an interesting. Okay, the whole it'll be a whole bunch of chaos here, and I don't want to do that to Jay. It's a really dumb concept for a television show, but it's something that's like so cringeworthy. One of those things that you can't turn away from it once it starts, So me and my friend would just sit there and text each other the whole time, like, "Do you believe this stuff? Like, what is going on?" Because it was so. It's amazing that somebody came up with that idea and decided to put it on television and try to make money off of it. So
I think I first saw it in Russia on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? I think you're right. I think I saw those too.
And it's a perfect concept for YouTube. That's a YouTube kind of deal. Maybe not TV, but it belongs on YouTube or something YouTube like.
Right.
All right. Well, let's get back to Power. We'll get through that quickly, I promise, because we already talked about the skits. So let's talk about Power. The opening segment this week was the newly formed tag team of TVMA, which is Tiffany Nieves, Valentina Rossi, and Miss Star. So I don't know where the A comes in, but we have the TV and M. So here we go.
I know where the A comes in.
I'm not even drunk, and that was hilarious. Good, nicely done, DK. Nicely done. Now I can tell you this: that when Jade and I were at the Crockett Cup, myself and Milk Mascaras, we got to see the TVMA live and in person, and they've upgraded their gear since Hard Times. They have matching gear now. Valentina Rossi has cut her teeth mostly with Women of Wrestling, where she was Adriana Gambino, part of the alliance, no connection to this alliance. And I didn't know really what to think of her. And wow, I only watched enough just to see her once or twice. She was okay. Seeing her in the ring up close with Tiffany Nieves, they are a fantastic tag team. And I hate the fact that they put the television title on Tiffany Nieves, because that means at some point this tag team won't be long for the division, which is a shame, because I feel like this is the kind of tag team we can get behind. And nothing but love for Big Mama. She came on the podcast and asked if we could not talk about that because the NWA did not want her sharing the spoilers. But, clearly she came in to do the job. she came in to team with Kenzie Paige at the Looks at Kill, then lost the titles back in Dothan, Alabama. They made Kenzie look good in the match. It was a fun match altogether. And like I said, I really like this pairing between Tiffany and Valentina. And I think this would be a good introduction to a rebooted NWA women's tag team division. So, DK, I'm going to ask you first, since they put the A in TVMA. What did you think of the pairing? What did you think of the match? And do you think that this could be a tag team that they build the division around?
What did I think of the pairing? I thought they worked well together. They seemed to work as a tag team. It was believable to me that they were a tag team. What did I think of? What else?
What did you think of the match?
The match itself was a pretty good match. I didn't have any major complaints about it. I'm not gonna, wasn't gonna blow me away, so to speak. But it was a good match. I don't know if there's any women's tag team match that's gonna blow me away at this point in time. And yeah, I mean, I didn't have any issues with it. I was able to enjoy it for what it was. And then what was the third thing you asked?
Do you think that they could do something with that? Do you think that could be the team that could power the division?
Yes, if they get proper challengers. Yeah, that, one of the things that put the Hex in and put the first run of Pretty Empowered in was that they were able to go through a few tag teams, some created, some established elsewhere other than the NWA. And so that kind of worked. But I think they could get a good run out of this team as tag team champions if they take time to build a couple different tag teams to face them and make it interesting at a live event.
Now, Jaden, I know you didn't see the match because you don't watch Power, but what did you think of TVMA?
Seeing him in person, I was actually very impressed. They had a great looking, spoiler alert, great looking matching outfits. They worked well as a team. They felt like a tag team, which is very rare in the NWA. Even some of the tag teams that were tag teams don't feel like tag teams.
Yeah.
Men and women sometimes.
Yeah.
I thought they had a really good match. I think if they are built up well, they could become the big tag team, the iconic / inspiration style tag team, but a little less obnoxious and annoying of the NWA.
And of course, Rick, I want your opinion as well. I think of them a lot better than the Iconics because I feel like, first and foremost, when you look at Tiffany Nieves, she might not be everyone's cup of tea, but she certainly has that look that's ready for pro wrestling. And when she gets out there, she's really aggressive in the ring. I've never saw Tiffany Nieves have a match and say, well, that was a stinker. And when you put her in the ring with Valentina, who, again, I didn't have a lot of faith in Valentina, she looked really good at the Crockett Cup. What's that?
What the hell was that?
That was my phone went off. Sorry.
That's all right. I was like, uh-oh.
Was it loud?
It was very loud.
I'll make sure for future use I'll shut the notifications off.
Well, I don't mind that it goes off. It was quite comical, but I want to get your take, Rick, on what did you think of the tag team? What did you think of the pairing or the match? And then do you think that they can be a team that they can build the women's tag team division around?
I think you're right. They can build the division around it. It's just they need other good competitors, obviously, to be able to, other good tag teams, women tag teams. It seems like the NWA has been struggling with that for a while, and they may actually have something here with this team. And as far as the match goes, I actually really enjoyed it. I was in the crowd. The live crowd seemed really into it, and which is important. You know what I mean? You don't, it's like watching wrestling with a dead crowd is kind of, it's like, geez, you start to feel it. You know what I mean? You're sitting on your couch watching, you start to feel. But I thought it was a quite enjoyable match, and I was actually surprised at like how good it was, because after last week's shitbox, this was just a lot of fun, I thought.
I definitely enjoyed it. Now the final part to that is, TVMA Tag Team Champions. That looked great. I feel like they are a part of what the NWA should be going forward. But then that also, Matt says the Money Birds should be brought back. Money Birds versus TVMA might be a feud that could ignite that whole division.
Right.
And then, like, I'll say this, and this was something else that DK wanted to talk about, is you look at the NWA Women's World Champion in Kenzie Paige. Now, Kenzie's held that title for almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years at the 77th. And she has fought all comers within the NWA. She's done pretty much anything you could ask for your Women's World Champion to do. Is it time? Of course, losing the tag titles, is that step one in starting to take the title off of Kenzie Paige? She's lost the tag title. Is it time for her to be removed as the Women's World Champion? Now, DKM, you're the one that posed the question, so I'm going to ask you first. Is it time for Kenzie to have a world's women's champion?
I believe the way I originally phrased it is Kenzie Paige getting boring?
Yeah, well, I thought that was implied.
And all of which, I mean, what you're saying is all what I'm talking about here, which is I don't get excited about her wrestling anymore. I don't get excited about her matches anymore. It's just kind of like, yeah, okay. And quite honestly, she's not the only one. And so there's a little bit of this going on in the NWA. We talked a week or 2 or 3 back about, are the champions getting stale? And yeah, I mean, I once had a high level of excitement when it came to Kenzie Paige, and I've kind of lost that. And it's like, we need, and some of it might be because they're not doing the interviews.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
And so, are we at a point now where, again, if everybody holds the title a year or 2 years, then nothing special about anybody's title reign. And so it's like, probably need to do, I'm against hot shotting, but that doesn't mean someone else shouldn't hold the title for, 6, 9, 10 months. Let Kylie go learn a new hold for a while. And then, come back and impress us with the new hold. Unlike Asuka, who disappeared for a year for injury and other things and came back and her finisher changed and it's just a butt.
Wait, you're complaining about that?
Well, only because it was like, Naomi used to do the rear view. Iceman King Parsons used to do the butt. But yes. Was that Lois Granger's finishing move, by the way? But
no.
Now it's just a running hip attack to a downed opponent in the middle of the ring, and it's like, okay, it's not really that exciting, because she normally hits them from the back anyway. So it's not like a Rikishi stink face even.
I had to turn around there. You made it too easy, and I didn't go there, and I'm proud of myself.
I'm glad. I'm proud of you. But yeah, my point is that getting back to the NWA and Kenzie is like, I'm ready for something different. I'm ready to feel a little more excited about some things. In-ring action can be good, but we need, even by the end of Roman Reigns' 4-year reign, there too many matches were going the same way and ending the same. And it's just like, I don't care if you put a title on somebody for 4 years, but give me a reason to stay excited for the 4 years. You know, part of the excitement with Roman Reigns is, oh, maybe they'll actually change the title now.
So then I guess the question now posed to you, Rick, what do you think about that? Do you feel like it's time to take the belt off of Kenzie, or do you think she could still be a memorable champion or an interesting champion, I guess, at this point?
Yes. You can either take it off. You got to build up a good storyline to make it convincing enough to not just make it something so random. You know what I mean? Try doing something like a really good storyline leading up to it. But you know, everything's probably filmed all the way up to 77 as it is. At least I think probably. But if you put it together really well, take it off, make her more interesting. Like was it DK said that part of it wasn't there. They're not doing interviews. They're not really doing great proper storylines to make you care about her being champion. If they're gonna take it off her for a little while, try to build up, you know, have her disappear for a little while, and then come back, and just do this big comeback type thing and work for that title. Make people care about it again. So yes, it is time to take it off, but you got to make people care again. So take it off for 8 months, whatever, have her build up to that she's trying to go for it. Keeps losing, but then she wins it back after how many times or whatever.
And see, the strategy that I would implement if I was Billy would be very similar to what they're doing with EC3 right now. I'm sure Noob would like to hear this, but I think that unless Natty Neidhart comes back for round 2, that Natalya should get a clean match against Kenzie and win the title. I think now is a great time to do it. Natalya Markova has earned the right to challenge for that title. She's overcome every obstacle that was placed in her way. And I think this would be very good for her in a sense that, you know, I don't think she's going to get any more popular than she is now. I don't think she's going to be any more of a draw than she is now. And I don't think that she is a downgrade when it comes to a champion who could, you know, defend that title against anyone. On the flip side, I love Kenzie Paige, and I'm not ready for her to depart the company yet. And I think the strategy, like I said, that I would use is to put her in a tag team and cool her off from the main event picture like they're doing with EC3. So when inevitably Kylie Paige returns to reclaim her crown, it's not just thrusted upon us like, you know, so many multiple matches that EC3 had against Tom Latimer, rematch after rematch. Like, that's going to get tired fast. But if you put Kenzie Paige into a tag team division with Kylie Paige as a solid tag team to challenge against TVMA, to challenge against the Money Birds, now you have 3 decent tag teams in the division. And I feel like that creates a lot more opportunity now to grow your tag team division and add maybe a few more pieces to that and make it more competitive. And in the meantime, you could have Markova face off against, you know, as of right now, the whole women's division kind of needs revamping. We just looked at the NWA roster. I mean, the AEW roster. But if you go and look at the women's roster for the NWA, who's really there? You've got, you know, there's TVMA. We talked about Big Mama, Kenzie Paige, La Rosa Negra. You know, La Rosa Negra and Markova might be an interesting storyline. But they're like, that's about it. Like, looking at their roster page right now, you've got Tiffany Nieves, you've got Natalya Markova, you got Maxie Impaler, who's still technically in the women's division. You got La Rosa Negra, Kylie Paige, Kenzie Paige, and Big Mama, and Valentina Rossi. So you have, like, what is that, 7 female wrestlers for like 4 titles?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Over Matt says Big Mama isn't for long NWA, right? I don't know if that's true or not. We haven't seen a lot of her, but let's also keep in mind that Billy doesn't book very consistently. And so he brought Mama in, but didn't really, plan that out. And then, I don't know if they're technically considered part of the roster, but you have the Tonga twin sisters that were at the Crockett Cup. And, there does need to be more depth to the women's division, because 7 wrestlers for 4 titles just doesn't make sense. And Sean says the women's division should only have 1 championship. I mean, I think we all agreed with that early on. But now that you have the titles, what do you do with them?
What it's the they don't need the TV title, right?
No.
That's the one. That's one that does it no purpose. First off, the only thing NWA does is television, so there's no purpose of the TV title because the women's title is going to get defended on there. They can use the world title and the tag team titles. Any other women's title currently, there's no need for, unless the company gets more expanded, unless one of them becomes a territory title, which we'll get into later when we're discussing. But so it doesn't make sense to have so many titles when you have, what'd you say, 7 women?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
If they did the TV title, the women's TV title, like they kind of did with the men's TV title under Carson Drake, which is he made a lot of title defenses in territories, then I think you can have something. But then it's like trying to figure out what's a territory title, what's a not. It's like Billy Corgan goes, well, the U.S. tag team titles, that's really more of a territory title.
Which
except for you change the title only on NWA events, and only NWA wrestlers hold them.
Mm-hmm. Well, they just announced they started out as titles for Power, really, and then all of a sudden they were territory titles.
Well, he did make that announcement.
He did,
and it was kind of like, it wasn't an announcement, so to speak. It was just kind of offhand during one of the shows, and he's like, "Well, we've made the decision to make this more of a territorial title, just because we don't have as much TV time to dedicate to a secondary tag team title," something along those lines. And I'm probably saying it a hell of a lot more clearly than he did. Right. But I feel like that was a good decision to make, because you could put those tag titles on the circuit and it could be very similar to the Mid-American Championship, where it is supposed to be more of a territory title. The problem is if you make the television title, the women's television title, into a territory title, either it needs to be renamed or it's going to seem kind of silly, because none of the territories actually have television, and the programs that they do have don't represent the NWA, just the actual promotions themselves.
Well, but like Crockett,
Kenzie does.
Yeah.
They have a YouTube series which I think airs on Thursdays, right?
Yeah, there was a new one just before we came on. Okay. I haven't watched it, but there was a new one. But Kenzie used them. EC3 used them since he held the title long enough to be on like a couple of EC3 shows. I think he defended once over in Missouri.
WLW.
Yeah.
Well, they have TV too. So
right, and I want to say he made an appearance in Texas for one of their shows also, but who knows when those shows will probably never be seen that he was on. So supposedly one day they're actually supposed to be on independent television here in the Texas area. I've already lost interest in Texas style wrestling.
Well, yeah, they've had more stop and starts than they should have.
They're just another SWE.
Yeah.
I liked that company while they were in existence, SWE, and I thought they were had a lot of promise, but then it just fizzled out rather quickly.
Oh,
is Texas style wrestling, James Beard is involved in that still or no?
He was, last I heard.
Okay.
But it's the same thing. What we have to understand, a little behind the curtain thing, is most of these promotions are money marks that try to build a team around, do it. They start out with some success. Then they think they're bigger than they are. And then they try to beat more than they are. And yeah, I agree with that, Luthez. That's what they need to do with the tag team titles. Women's tag team just needs to split up, and then you never hear about titles again. And because Race went to WWE, that's what happened. And but back to the concept of Texas style wrestling is what I always say about Joe Casano Promotions is it is what it is, and it doesn't really try to be much more. And if you go back and you watch even the old Dog Pound wrestling shows, they always try to sound bigger, better, badder, than what they really are. And it's like, just, be a promotion. So, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they could change the name of the title. I could care less. They could just get rid of the title. I mean, really, Tiffany Nieves could move on somewhere else while she holds both championships, and they just never mention them again.
Yeah.
And the world would be a better place for me and me.
Well, I'm okay with them keeping the tag titles as long as they plan to bring in more talent to wrestle for those tag titles. But I have to echo your sentiment with the TV title. I don't think that was a smart idea when they brought it back, when they reintroduced it, or when they introduced it. And they haven't done much with that title in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's been defended once, and it was changed hands on the first and only defense.
25.
And it doesn't. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, 25. Excuse me. Anyways, so that brings us to the next match of Power, which was Mike Mondo taking on Zion. What are we calling this guy? I don't even know anymore.
Zion now with a Z. Zion. I think.
I'm not idiot. That idiot. I'm not a big Zion fan, and I know a lot of people think, oh, he's such a talented wrestler, but it never shows under that mask. And I don't know if it's because he's wrestling under someone else's gimmick or if he just doesn't care. I feel so. His matches are very unenthusiastic, and at the anniversary show last year, Jaden and I were there, and we met a woman who was a friend of Zion's. Do you remember that, Jaden?
Yes, I do.
And she was so excited to see her friend wrestle and was very proud of him. And I'm like, that's the guy that doesn't do shit when he's in the ring. He's very wooden and laconic and literally just someone who has spent time in the WWE, someone who, assumedly wants to continue his career in pro wrestling. He's very unassuming and very just boring to me. And I don't know, DK, do you disagree with that? Rick, do you disagree with that?
Yeah. I don't know. He's. I didn't care for him prior, but him as Zion's not really doing much because it's just somebody else's gimmick kind of a thing. It's just kind of like weird, But him coming in, yeah, he's not that fantastic. But I thought that this match kind of they did a lot of kind of wrestling in the match, not just moves. You know what I mean? It's just they actually went out there and put on a decent wrestling match. And it was the ending that killed it for me. But, I mean, I thought that this was pretty good. He's not the greatest pro wrestler in the world, but, I thought this actually shined way more than anything I've seen from the guy in the past. So, and since he's been under this gimmick here, it's like he's not featured a ton, it seems, right?
He has been. Yeah. It's been diminishing because, I remember at the anniversary show, I guess that was the 74th. Then I drove to Nashville for the tapings after that. And they were putting him in the ring with Tom Latimer. They were putting him in the ring with, Tom Latimer. He also put him in the ring with Jack Stane. Then when I was at the Crockett Cup 24 with DKM, he had a match with that's where he wrestled Latimer. He had the match with Latimer at 74 for the national title, and it was just such a snooze fest. And it was not interesting. It wasn't exciting. It didn't get me fired up for Tom Latimer or Zion. DK, do you remember that match when we were there at the Crockett Cup 24?
Yeah, and it was one of those gimme matches. You knew going into it who was going to win. It was something to give Latimer a victory on his.
Right. Dave Scooby's comment was on point as always.
It was something to give him a victory, and look, the wrestler who's under the mask. I really only know him from his tag team. He just doesn't look like he's as in good a shape as he used to be. He reminds me a little bit of Bishop Dreyer or Baron Corbin or whatever you want to call somebody who you look back early in their career and they were like pretty good shape, and you look at them now and they're kind of like, And the original Scion with a C, like cat. He made the comment after they took the mask off of him and he wrestled as himself for a couple of episodes to job his way out. But he made the comment. He goes, he never really got into the character, and I feel it's the same thing here. The guy that's wrestling under the mask, I don't think he's into the character. I don't think he understands what his purpose is. He's basically put out there to get other people over. He's little more than enhancement talent. And it's just, and when they're put in that position, I don't know that you expect the best. Rick talked to, who was it, Tony Garcia, the 5-time WWF champion, tag team champion?
Tony Gurria. Yeah.
Tony Gurria, yeah. Okay, so, Rick talked to him, and you see, Tony Gurria, I remember, was the one from 1984 on who was just enhancement talent in WWF. And, he went out there, wrestled the up-and-comer and lost. And you'd sit there and they go, he's a former 5-time champion, and you'd be like, really? Why? Because, by that point, he was probably doing backstage stuff more than he was front stage, right. In ring and stuff like that. But he had a different mindset out there. He wasn't there to be a star. He wasn't there to win. He was there to put over, the up-and-comers. And so I feel like the guy under the mask, that's what his role under the mask is to put over other people. And so I don't think he's into it. I don't think he's excited by it. I mean, the match itself wasn't bad. It was, if you were a Mondo fan, you'd probably thought it was a nice little match. I'd give it a very solid C, as a match. But yeah, it's probably time to retire the mask, and this isn't a Mr. Wrestling gimmick. I remember the original Mr. Wrestling. I remember the original Mr. Wrestling too, and this isn't it.
DKM was old enough to remember when he was training in school, the original Mr. Wrestling.
Sure.
I was waiting for Jaden to make that joke, and he would have done a better job with it, I'm sure.
I think Jaden's sleeping tonight.
No, Jaden just doesn't want to talk about power, so.
And I'll say this, like, the ending did suck, and maybe it's who he's partnered with. Maybe Zion should be part of, Sinister Minister's creepy group, because maybe he'd be more exciting than. As a footnote, did you know that our NWA World's Heavyweight Champion was originally a part of the Ascension when they were in Florida?
I think I heard
No
that.
clue.
Yeah, the original members were Victor, Connor, Kenneth Cameron, who would later become Tom Latimer, Tito Colon, who Orlando Colon, Raquel Diaz, and then later Ricardo Rodriguez. So
Cool.
there you go. Just a little footnote to add to your Thursday viewing habits. Okay, that takes us to the main event of the Southern Six versus the Country Gentlemen, a feud as long as time. The Mortons and the Kazanas. I mean, I know Taylor's not a Morton, but you get the picture. Alex Taylor, is currently the World Junior Heavyweight Champion. I don't know the last time he defended the Junior Heavyweight title. It's been a while. Kerry Morton, former World Junior Heavyweight Champion, keeps talking about he's in the heavyweight division, wants to be the future world's heavyweight champion, but has had a long time feud with AJ Kazana and the Kazana brothers. They did a lot of stuff early in the JCP days, and so this was kind of like paying homage to that. They had the blood and grits street fight not too long ago between that was Silas Mason and Kerry Morton versus AJ and KC. Now, the Kazana boys have been carrying those titles for quite some time. This match, I think, was a fun match. It was very hard-hitting, and I am partial to AJ Kazana. I think he's an excellent wrestler. Would like to see him break up now from the tag team division and maybe pursue that television title, or perhaps maybe Mims in the national title, reigniting the feud that Mims and AJ Kazana had. But this matchup, I think, was a lot of fun. The Southern Six have kind of been in a stalling pattern for quite some time, ever since Thurbilly lost the national title. Even though Alex Taylor's still your junior heavyweight champion, we haven't seen that title defended in a very long time. And it seems like the significance of the Six was starting to fade a little bit. Winning the U.S. tag titles does not solve that problem, but at least gives them something to do, at least they have some sort of championship. If it's a group that you're going to push, at least it's a group that I think could do something with that push. Like I said, the match itself was good. That Dothan crowd was really hot, and they were calling Joe Kazana Colonel Sanders. We heard them do that also at the Crockett Cup, so that's kind of organically happening where the fans are chanting against the Colonel, I guess. But I like this match. DCAM, what did you think about this one?
Oh, I thought it was a fun little match. I thought probably for the first time in a while, the Southern Six, probably since they won the Crockett Cup, the Southern Six actually looked like a respectable tag team. Somebody who you go, yeah, they're a team, they're a good team. They deserve a title run of some kind.
Yeah.
Alex Taylor does need to drop the junior heavyweight top. There are too many double champions in the NWA.
It does feel like that's like maybe something that I don't know if it's intentionally booked that way or if they just paint themselves into a corner, but I hate that because we're not getting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they're kind of painted into a corner. You can finish the thought.
I was just saying, like, you have a tag team. So like Alex Taylor wins a junior heavyweight championship. Who did he beat from that title? He beat the kid from Chicago whose name I can't think of right now. Yeah, Joe Alonzo. And Joe Alonzo was a spitfire. Joe Alonzo had a lot of heat. Alex Taylor's not a bad talent, but he was no Joe Alonzo. Taylor has quietly had a lot of good matches, but when was the last time he defended the junior heavyweight championship? And you've had outs, like he's had matches against some other junior heavyweights. A guy like Slade, if you're not going to put him into a tag team with Mondo, I mean, I'd put the title on Slade, let him dominate the junior heavyweight division for a while. Let him be the Bill Goldberg of the NWA junior heavyweight division. Just throw fools. I'd be all right with that.
Hey, I want to grab something here since you have Sean Mega's quote up there, and certainly want Jaden Rick's thoughts on like this. So he's like, Alex Taylor might be the best NWA wrestler, or whatever the actual phrase was. And it's like, okay, I guess that depends on how you're going to define a wrestler. I don't think he's overly hot on his promos. He doesn't necessarily have the best size or the best look. He's got in-ring skills that I admire, and I still remember the time I thought he died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, to bounce back from that and everything. But, it's easy to throw out phrases like that, but in my book, I don't know that he is in the conversation. I don't know that if somebody told me to list, hey, best wrestlers in the NWA, that he would make my list. At least off the top of my head, without some, heavy thinking. Who else is in there? So I mean, I'll say Jaden, then Rick. I mean, what makes a good wrestler, and does Alex Taylor fit into that group?
If I tried to amalgamate different things that people consider, first of all, you have to have believability. You have to be able to draw money, draw people to the crowd either to watch you win or watch you get your butt kicked. You have to have at least either look extremely tough and ugly or really athletic or strong. You have to have some kind of physical attribute that makes you stand out and look like you deserve to be inside the ring and like you could win a match.
And a babyface, a true babyface.
A true babyface or a true heel, doesn't matter. There needs to be something.
I'm not talking about the terminology. I'm talking about where the term came from. Like a young Ricky Morton had that babyface. A young Tommy Rich had that babyface. Their look was babyface, not just their character in wrestling terms.
They also need to be able to execute moves at a high level and at high efficiency, and be able to know when to hit them and when to slow things down and when to speed things up. So based on that amalgam, I think that's what makes a great wrestler. Any disagreement on any of that or anything to add to it? Amendment?
No, I think I agree with that. It's just, it makes, everything you said makes sense. So you have to be professional as well. Just believability, facials got to be proper. You have to look like a wrestler. That's one thing. A lot of wrestlers today don't necessarily look like wrestlers. AJ Kazana looks like a professional wrestler. Alex Taylor? Yeah, sure.
But does Alex Taylor fit in what parts of those things that Jaden said does Alex Taylor fit?
Me? Oh. I don't. I mean, the guy could work, right? I think he's probably one of the better workers that the NWA does have.
Traditionally speaking, workers or somebody could separate the mark from his money. Can Alex Taylor do that?
Probably not.
So,
I don't. Sorry. Go ahead.
Is he being discredited because he's not a draw?
Part of it. If you're considered a great, if you want to be considered a great wrestler, being a draw matters.
The 90% of the NWA isn't a draw. So 90% of the NWA wrestlers, you're saying, are not workers, they're not qualified to be in this conversation.
They do draw, they just don't draw to the masses. And I don't necessarily claim to think that's the NWA wrestlers is as much of the NWA wrestlers' fault as Billy Corgan's.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong.
Who in the NWA is a draw? That people. I'm sorry, Jay. Who in the NWA is actually a draw? Like, what makes people get off their ass, buy tickets, and go see the NWA? Like, who do you think, like, out of that roster? Like, I'd go see AJ Kazana and Tom Latimer any day of the week. Alex Taylor, if he was local, sure, but I wouldn't necessarily go out of my way.
Well, when we go back to Sean's original thing, he goes, Alex Taylor might be the best, or the NWA best wrestler. I'm assuming he needs to be the best wrestler in the NWA. That's what I'm assuming he's trying to say. And so the question is, if you just limit it to the NWA, let's just limit this to the NWA. Is he really one of the best because I probably would not still list him in my list. I mean, and to go to Jaden's point, it's part of the reason is because he's not going to pop into my mind right away. I mean,
right.
I want to see Tom Latimer. I don't really want to see EC3, but I can see why other people might. I want to go see Thrill Billy. You know, okay. I would make a longer trip to go see Thrill Billy.
That's a good starting point. I think that's where the conversation should go. Who gets you off your couch to go see to go watch wrestling, right? Because, like, I'll be honest, I didn't fly out to Philadelphia for the Crockett Cup. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, it was the fact that Natty Neidhart was going to be there. That's what sealed the deal for me. It seemed potentially Natty Neidhart winning the women's title in an NWA venue. That's what got me off my couch to go to the wrestling show. Now, I'll say this, living in Southern California, there's a lot of guys on this roster that if they showed up in my local indie or did something with Dave Marquez, I would go check them out. So, like, let's look at this list. Let's literally throw it out here. Well, we won't do this all night, but if Alex Taylor isn't someone who you would go out of your way to watch, then let me throw out a name and you say yay or nay. Is Tom Latimer a guy that you would go out of your way to go watch, DKM?
Yes, I have.
There you go. Jaden, I know that this is a little bit different for you because you're not really a fan of the NWA, but is Tom Latimer a guy that you would go out of your way to watch?
No.
Okay. And then, Rick, your thoughts. Is Tom a guy you'd go out of your way to watch?
Absolutely. I drove 4 hours to go see him because I thought he was going to win the NWA world title. So I would get off my ass. That's a guy that would definitely bring me into town if he was on the card.
Same. Look, it wasn't I wasn't going to drive to Sacramento, but I kind of wish I could have to see Tom defend the 10 pounds of gold in California. All right, so the next champion is Mims. DKM, are you going out of your way to see Mims defend the national championship?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'll phrase it like this. I would go see him if he was anywhere close. You know, like if he was going to be in North Richland Hills at a local, promotion in North Richland Hills, MPX, something like that. I don't go to MPX shows normally. I would go to a MPX show to watch him. I would not drive out to Forney to watch him.
Okay. So Forney, that's like what, an hour and a half from you, right?
Right.
Okay. And so Rick, an hour and a half to go see Mims. Is that within your wheelhouse?
Maybe. He's a guy that's kind of like on the fence. Like, it'd have to be who else is on the show type of a thing. You know what I mean? Is the entire, like, I like him a lot. I really do, but I don't know if I would drive. I mean, I'd probably drive about an hour, honestly, because I usually, into New York, I'm about an hour from New York, about an hour from Massachusetts. So I'm kind of in the middle of the state. So if it's if he was in Springfield, which is about 50 minutes from my house, Springfield, Mass, I'd probably definitely go there because I go there for shows all the time. So, why? If he was on a show, I would definitely go.
Jaden, do you have any love for the Mims?
I like Mims, and I think he's got a lot of talent. I actually very much enjoyed his little segments he did for the Hawk. I thought that was actually very entertaining. If he was on a local event where I could, get there very, very easily, like very local, I would go see him.
Okay.
Depends also on the rest of the card too, because I don't like. There's companies that it's got wrestlers I like, but there's a lot of stuff I don't like about the company, so I don't go.
Gotcha. All right, I'm gonna skip Carson Bartholomew Drake on this one, and the next champion I'm going to acknowledge is your Mid-American champion, Jeremiah Plunkett, friend of the show, but don't let that censor what you're going to say. Jaden, would you go see Jeremiah Plunkett if he was relatively local to you?
Same as Mims, yeah. It depends on the card too, because again, there's companies I won't go. I have people that I like a lot that I won't go to certain companies because they're not a fan of the company.
Yeah,
but yes, I would go see Plunky.
And then
if he was in a card an event that didn't embarrass me to be at.
what about you, Rick? Would you go see Plunkett if he was nearby within an hour and a half?
100%. Yes, 100%. 100%. I really like him a lot, and I really want to get the opportunity to see him live at some point, which I don't know if I will. Was he at 76? I don't remember.
No, he was
he on
not.
this? No, yeah. So it's like I'd really like to get, and I'd like to see him in something that you put on like a really good match. I really like him a lot, and I think that he is a phenomenal professional wrestler. And if that title came up here in the Northeast somewhere, hour and a half drive, yes, absolutely.
And then DK, I'll get your opinion, and then we'll move on from this topic.
Plunkett would be the same as Mims, and I might actually travel a little bit further to see him than I would Mims, only because I remember him from so long, back and when he challenged Kojima and all that stuff. And so there's a nostalgia to him that I would love to go see him.
So for me, and everyone that I mentioned, I would absolutely go out of my way to see. I'd definitely drive an hour and a half to go see them. I like that hour and a half kind of window because there are some talent that I won't drive an hour and a half to go see that's on this roster. And, Carson Drake is not a guy I'm going to go out of my way to see. Brian Idol's not a guy that I'm going to go out of my way to see. But of those three wrestlers that I mentioned, I'd absolutely go out of my way to see them. So for me, I would call those guys draw. Alex Taylor lands on that list for me. Alex Taylor, I would go out of my way to go. I would drive an hour and a half to go see Alex Taylor. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, too, in terms of, perhaps he's not in the category for best wrestler. I don't know if I'd call him the best wrestler either, but I would say that Alex Taylor is a guy that I think I would definitely go out of my way to watch if he was an hour and a half out of the way. And, and that's the thing, wrestling is subjective. Wrestling is 100% subjective, and just because I like a talent doesn't mean that you guys are going to like a talent. And just because the style of wrestling that I enjoy doesn't mean that that's the right style of wrestling. We're all, everyone is entitled to their opinion. Willie Bowen says, no Carson Drake, no Aaron Stevens. And just a second ago, over Metal Matt said Aaron Stevens a draw. Luthez says, I'd drive over an hour for Taylor and Plunky. So, I mean, it's all subjective.
Well, there are other factors that can work in. For example, I might drive an hour and a half to see the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if Alex Taylor happens to be the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion defending his title, then you could say I drove an hour and a half to see him.
Yeah.
But if he wasn't NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion, or he wasn't defending the title, he was just going to be part of a tag team or, whatever. I mean, I'm not sure I'd drive 5 minutes to see Kerry Morton.
Damn.
If I were going to drive an hour and a half because of Kerry Morton, it would be in the opposite direction.
Oh, man.
Ouch.
So, but yeah, I mean, there can be factors that will make you change. I would drive most places. I drove 5 hours to watch the NWA World Heavyweight Championship change hands. I drove 4 hours to see several of the NWA titles defended one time. Drove 9 hours to see NWA wrestling, but mainly so I could meet Jay.
That was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, there can be factors that will go, would I go so far? But if you're talking about just a person, whether Jeremiah Plunkett was the Mid-America champion or not, I'd be interested in seeing him at a relatively not too far show. Same with Mims. I like Mims. He was on our podcast, and I enjoyed him. And it's like, so yeah, these are people I would go see. And one of the people I went to go see when we went to Houston, that he was on the list of people I wanted to see, was Damian Wayne. That's when he was teaming, with that other guy. whose name I somehow managed to forget. But
Lance Erickson.
Lance Erickson.
Erickson.
Some lion, I don't know. Whoever he was.
Maybe Canadian.
Yeah. He was, I went to go see him. He was part of the reason I drove down there. Kevin was wrestling. He was part of the reason I drove down there. What's his name from Japan, the junior heavyweight that everybody loved?
Jushin Thunder Liger.
Jushin Thunder Liger, he was at the show. And so I got to see, him. It was certainly, there can certainly be several people that would make it worthwhile. But if you're just talking about this individual wrestler is going to be X thing, it's going to be an X event here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Well, if I don't have to go too far and I don't have to stay out too late and, the world's not over, then sure, I'll, there's some of them I would go see. And there are some who, I would travel further to see Throwbilly than I would Alex Taylor.
And seeing that, I think is very fair too, because in your opinion, and I agree with you, Silas Mason's is a draw. And I saw someone in the chat say he's not a draw, but like, I would go see him. I'd go see him in a heartbeat. I'd go watch him right now, and I would go 2 hours to watch him. I think he is way entertaining. Oh, sorry about that. The Roku channel unpaused. I think it'd be fun to see Silas Mason out here in SoCal. Where he'd fit in, I don't know, but I'd like to go see him.
Matt, that's the thing about Silas. He can talk people into a building.
Yeah.
You put him out there in SoCal, he'll find a way to talk people into a building, especially as a heel.
And I just thinking out loud, if they put him in like GCW, and I know you guys are not GCW fans, but man, I think he could kill it in GCW. And it surprises me that he hasn't gone to other places. He's kind of stuck. And maybe he wants to be stuck, but it seems like he mostly just works for NWA and NWA affiliated promotions. And now I'm going to look to see when was the last time Silas Mason wrestled outside of the NWA. Because he's really good. And to think about, just thinking out loud, like, I don't think I've seen him outside of the NWA in a while. And, okay, so JCW, and, he was in the UK for a little bit. I forgot about that. But no, mostly just the NWA. He was at the PWF Clash at Cedar Point. That's Colby's promotion, I think. He was at VPW Battle Lions in Augusta, Georgia, but mostly just JCW and the NWA. That's interesting. Yeah, all of 24, just the NWA.
24 or 25?
No, 24, all NWA. 25, he did a tour in the UK with Alex Taylor. And then he did a show in North Carolina. That's Colby Carino's show, and he did a show in Georgia in 25, and then strictly NWA and the Juggalos. That's it. Yeah, and Overmetal said the same thing. Why isn't Silas booked in GCW like Kerry is? I don't know, man. Maybe Kerry's not putting in the old favor for him because I just imagine if given that platform, if given the opportunity, if given a chance, Silas Mason could get over anywhere. That's my opinion, anyways.
100%.
I feel like we're getting pretty close to calling it a night. I do want to give our pal Jade an opportunity because we know we got a big event coming up this Saturday in Riverton, New Jersey, as part of the All-American Bash. A lot of the talent have appeared here on the Alliance Blog podcast. Even Rick got to speak to Jaden about the event and Dangerous Gentlemen Wrestling Gladiators in general. But let's get to it, Mr. Jaden. Let's talk about the All-American Bash.
On Saturday night, June 28th, at the Sacred Heart Church, located at 4th Street in beautiful, historic Riverton, New Jersey. Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators presents the All-American Bash, the main event for the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Championship. Vinny the Fixer takes on Marvelous. You'll also see the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship on the line as Valerie Verman takes on Stevie Brooks. The Dog Tag Team Championship, Dave Dahl and Dylan Mesh. They've held the title for over a year, but they have their toughest challenger to date in Primal Fear. You'll also see OVW superstar D-Gut Bundles take on Connor the Flag Boy. You'll see WWE star, Ring of Honor star, OVW star, and Monster Factory alumni Tank Tolan take on Jack Martins. The World Wrestling Grand Prix Championship will be on the line as David Goldie defends against AEW superstar Nick Camarado. You'll also see Biggie Biggs, the Chop Daddy himself, taking on Silver Lobo. Top to bottom, there's a lot more matches. Make sure you come check it out. Don't forget to nationally ranked world ranked bantamweight boxer Emmanuel Rodriguez will be there. And he didn't like that Connor the Flag Boy was calling him out because he's on the poster. He told him if he watched guys calling him out, maybe he should knock him out. You get to see all of that. Tickets are only $20. They will be sold at the door. Get your tickets at the door for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators because you're going to buy the entire seat. But the only thing you're going to need is the edge.
Well done, sir. Well done, sir. Rick, what big interviews do you have coming up in the next week or so?
Well, just dropped yesterday. Speaking of dog, Tank Tolan has appeared on the podcast. Please, everybody, go check it out. It's fun. He does promote the show. Great guy, nice guy. I'd like to thank Jaden for Event. I'm sorry, Event.
As he called you out at, by the way.
He did call me out on that at the in the podcast, and I have to learn to correct myself when promoting dog. Apparently, so that was a fun interview. Great guy. Thank you, Jaden, for hooking me up with that. And tonight I recorded with former USWA announcer Michael St. John. That went awesome. It was a lot of fun. Lots of really good stories. It'll be out tomorrow afternoon, so check that out. Besides that, I got a bunch of stuff that I'm setting up for the next couple weeks. So just keep an eye and ear it out. So, yep.
Sounds like a good time. And I know DKM will have an announcement in the upcoming weeks about crowning a new IWHE Women's Champion. Ooh. Oops, I said that backwards. IHWE Women's Champion. And is that the belt right there?
That's the belt. Actually, I got a little bit of news this week.
Let's go.
We have a date, September 27th.
Ooh.
We have a location, Alvarado, Texas. We have a event, Advanced Pro Wrestling card. We have one of the contestants known, the bombshell, Haley Danielle. And there's the second lady that says she really wants this title, but she'll make the announcement in her own good time. So beware. Things are happening, and people want a beautiful, beautiful belt.
Things are starting to pop up for the iconic wrestling excellence.
Very good.
I got it, and I didn't look at the screen. You see where my eyes were looking at? I was looking at the camera. I just needed 1 second to get it. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, it's such a pleasure to talk wrestling with you guys, not only here in the panel, but also in the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out with us again. Also, the new time for the Other Alliance guys is Mondays. I believe it is 5:30. Is it 5:30 Eastern? I'm going to have to check on that. But stay tuned to this channel. We will have updates, and you'll see the announcements that are listed. But they are on Mondays now. Of course, the pre-party still on Tuesdays, still at 5:30 or 5 Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. You can still check us out, and of course, we'll be back next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. Again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Willie Bone wants to remind you to check out Wrestling Central. Currently, right now, they're running matches from the Crockett Cup, which I believe was from 2023. I'm not entirely sure, but all right, guys. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and we are going to call it a night as soon as I remember where the button is to push. All right. We'll see you guys at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.